most part, they support the Second Amendment rights of their constituents because they directly answer. Now, that said, as far as fiscal matters, you'd be very surprised, and even as a retired trooper, I think most people with thoughtful employees don't want the system to go down. I'm a firm believer in what Chris Christie did a few years ago. He confronted the teachers union and said, "You people will thank me in a couple of years when you have a pension left." I ended up coming to Connecticut because of fiscal irresponsibility in New York City. Again, I started in 1973, almost 40 years ago. And at that time, I was in the academy, hadn't even issued a firearm yet. I was in civilian clothes. And I was told that me and all my other academy classmates were going to go out with uniformed and plainclothes officers to check subways for graffiti. Oh, that's great. Why? We were going to get paid overtime. You know the reason why? Because they had to burn up their fiscal allotment for that year. I said, well, what's the purpose of that? Well, if we don't use up all the money this year, we won't get that appropriation next year, much less more. Because if we turn that money back, we won't get the same thing next year. So you've got to feed the beast continuously. Well, guess what? 2 years later, I ended up out. And I was very fortunate to come to Connecticut, and I hope I serve people responsibly the time I put in. So this is what happened. Government just has a natural ability to just want more and more and more. And eventually it collapses for everybody, employees too. Thank you very much.
So can I just respond to that? And someone said, about Waterbury before, and Tony and I represent Waterbury as well. Waterbury went through that. And Tony was in the House, as was I at the time. No, actually, I think it was my first year in the Senate. But the city, because of contractual obligations, which just ramped up over time, the city was on the verge of bankruptcy. And we did the first ever in this state, and actually in a lot of other states, was a full takeover. We set up a state board, we voided contracts. It was very difficult. You talk about Chris Christie talking to the pensioners. We had to face our uniformed employees, police, fire, teachers, because everything that they knew, the world that they knew, was completely changed. However, the city of Waterbury is I don't count Stanford in this because they're really in a different world because they're in the top 5, is the strongest fiscally in the state of Connecticut of the big cities. And it is because of that legislation, which we did, which was very difficult to get to. And it was almost a coup because to actually get it through both chambers was, I think it was really miraculous, but it has saved the city of Waterbury, and they are very fiscally rooted. Now, they are having the same challenges as every other city, and this change on the property tax and everything else will very significantly affect them if it goes through. But fiscally, they are solid, and it's because of that. It's because we voided the contracts and we went and rewrote them. In truth be known, when we have members of the fire department who commute from Springfield, Massachusetts to come into Waterbury because of the benefits, or other members of the fire department who lived in Vermont and were coming down for the 3-day on, 3-day off shift. They were also working as high-end antique dealers. There's a reason why you make those trips. And it was about the benefit levels that we had negotiated that could never be sustained, or from the very first day couldn't even be afforded. So, and once again, there's ownership. So those folks take, ownership in that, and as individuals we can understand how that happens. But and I always point that out. And in the state situation, as I sit at the table that I sit at, I say the solution is we need the Waterbury model. It takes a lot of will to get that done.
The unions eventually won that battle, though, and ended up getting rid of the oversight board.
Well, the oversight board was supposed to phase out after the fiscal house was put together. And so despite that fact, we did have legislation out of the labor committee every single year, get rid of the board. We kept the board, and it ended its natural existence as it was supposed to.
The mayor of Bridgeport was a senator at the time, and he voted against us on it. Now he